Alright, good day everyone. So, last time we had an activity in which we constructed an ellipse, right? Using strings and pins. Now we've actually constructed a horizontal ellipse. So, for further understanding, we'll define a few terms. Now, here, right here in the middle, obviously, is the center. And then um, the longest line, or the longest chord, is called the major axis. Now, the major axis, let's define it as 2a, and then, of course, and then right here, vertically, we'll define that as a minor axis. The minor axis is, say, 2b. And then in the activity, we actually had 2 pins, am I right? So that would determine the places here and over here. Now this distance between the 2 points is actually what we call the focal length, or we define as 2c, from here to here, right? There we go. This is a better visualizer for it. There's the center, there's the major axis, like we talked about, the minor axis over here, there we go, and then, of course, the focal distance between the 2 pins, or from what we used. Now, as you can see here, going back to the string activity, let's put the tip of the pen over here, right, to the side of the ellipse. Now, what can we say about it? Because I've certainly noticed something, right? If you put a line across, like so, tapos mag-U-turn ka dito, yan, U-turn tayo. The string actually looks like this, the value or the length of the major axis, right? Kasi yung pinag-U-turn na natin, ilagay natin sa kabila, ganyan. So, again, the length of the string is the length of the major axis, like so. And of course, our major axis is defined as 2a, right? So, now if we put it like this, we put the tip of the pen over here, position right there. Mahati yung major axis, correct? So, from 2a, magiging a na lang. And another thing you can notice is that it actually forms a right triangle. So, making it na the length of the minor axis right here, half of it, yun yung magiging height natin. So, the height would be only b, right here. Kasi itong nasa baba, since kalahati siya ng focal length, we'll label that as c. Now, what can we see here, right? We can actually correlate this to the Pythagorean theorem. Kasi nga, right triangle. So may equation tayo na Pythagorean theorem. So a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared. Like so. So we can finally define what an ellipse is. So an ellipse is the locus of a point that moves such that the sum of its distances from 2 fixed points is constant. So yung pins, yun yung fixed points, and then right here, and right here is the center. So para mas madali, i-label natin yung center as 0, 0. There we go. And then sa first point, we'll label that as negative c0. Kasi nga, yung from the other side of the focal length. And then sa kabila naman, magiging positive c, 0. There we go. And then right up here, that represents the point that moves or that follows through the ellipse. So we'll define that as xy. There we go. And then going back to the definition, the sum of its distances is constant. So we'll put it right here. So the first point plus the second point, the sum of it is always the same, or like it's written, a constant. Now, the distance from a point to a point makes sense, right? So we'll follow through the equation of that. So that's square root of x plus c, yes, squared. Because dito, yung una natin ginamit yung may negative c, plus y squared because we've only had y minus 0, so y squared lang siya. Plus, the second point, that would be square root of yung positive c naman over here. So that would be x minus c squared, same thing, plus y squared. There we go. If we add that, it would be constant. So like we've said before, yung length ng string is actually the major axis. So that would mean this would be equal to 2a, right? And there we go. We finally have an equation. But this is just an equation we've gotten from the definition, right? So let's make it simpler. Here, over here. Now, para mas madali, of course, we have to square the equation para mawala yung square root. But, para mas maganda, ilipad mo na lang ito sa kabila. Ayan. Now, i-square nga natin. Like so. So kapag square, mawawala si square root. Yan. And then, of course, the process in which the square of a binomial. So, mas square yung first term right here, magiging 4a squared. And then twice the product of the two terms, which is right here, 4a squared of x minus c squared plus y squared. And then, of course, square nung last term. So, same lang, nawala lang yung square root. Then, we expand, of course. Yan, expandan si x plus c squared, maging x squared plus xc plus c squared. And then, dito naman sa kabila, same thing, expand din natin si x minus c squared, which led us to x squared minus xc plus c squared. Now, if you've noticed, para mas madali, meron tayong common terms. Right here, we have x squared on one side, same as the other. And then we also have c squared on one side, same as the other. And of course, y squared na rin. So, tanggalin na rin natin yun para mas maganda tingnan. Ayan. So, as you've noticed, isa na lang yung term natin sa on one side, and then tatlo na lang yung natira on the other. So, here. And there we go. So, para mas simple, lipat natin si 2xc on the other side. Magiging positive siya, so magiging plus xc, leaving the other two terms on the other side. Now, again, what we do is we divide the whole equation by 4. Kasi nga, we can do that. And then magiging xc is equal to a squared minus a square root of x minus c squared plus y squared. So, may square root na naman. In order to do that, isolate muna natin, no? Like we did earlier. Isolate to the other side. And then si xc, lagyan natin sa kabila. Yan. So, we can finally square it. Yan. And then we finally square it like so. Magiging, mawawala lang si square root, magiging a squared. And then, dun sa kabila, magiging square root of a binomial. So, let's expand that. Over here. There we go. From a minus xc squared is equal to this one over here. We've expanded. And then on the other side, i-distribute natin sa a squared. And, there we go. Distribute. And then, And then from there, since we still have common terms, what we want to do is to cancel that. See 2a squared plus xc. And then from there, ayan, mawawala na siya. Para, and then over here, di ba meron pa tayong c squared? From what we've derived earlier, yung Pythagorean theorem, we can actually substitute yung value. So, balik natin. Ayan, yung a squared is equal to b squared plus c squared. There we go. So using, like I said, using the relationship, we can express that as c squared is equal to a squared minus b squared. So we substitute that to the equation. Let's do that right here. Ayan, whoa. So, di ba, yung c squared naging a squared minus b squared. Yan. We can expand, we distribute a squared over here, and then we also distribute x squared over here. So, yan yung kinalabasan. Whoa. Try natin. Yan. And then, sumunod naman, parang may like terms tayo. So, kinancel natin yan. Yes. And then, over here as well. And then there we go. Pero, syempre, hindi dyan nagtatapos. Ilipat natin, para mas maganda tingnan, ilipat natin si yung may x and y on one side. And then, we'll leave the AB on the other side. There we go. And then, over here, yan. Ganyan yung kalalabasan niya. So, para mas madali, no? We want to divide both sides of the equation by a squared and b squared. So right here, lagyan ng a squared, b squared, a squared, b squared. There we go. Yan, try natin na konti para magmukha namang na-divide siya. So, this one, on the right, maka-cancel siya, right? And then, magiging 1 na lang siya. And then, on the left, yung b squared, maka-cancel. Like so. And then, yung a squared, maka-cancel. Giving us x squared over a squared plus y squared over b squared is equal to 1. There we go. Yan. So, obviously, nagpa-follow through lang to dun sa if our center is at 0, 0. So, I'll show you that. Sorry. Ayan. It will only follow through if our center is at 0, 0. Now, obviously, we want to generalize that. Now, kasi nga, the point can be everywhere, anywhere. So, our point, let's say that is hk. No? So, that would give us the x minus h squared over a squared. There we go. Plus y minus k squared over b squared. Then again, still equal to 1. And there we have it. That's the standard form of the equation of the ellipse. Now, to generalize or to summarize, this is the standard form of the equation of an ellipse. This is at, over here, this is at a horizontal major axis, or otherwise, mas mahaba yung horizontal line. So, like, yung parang ginawa natin sa activity, ganun. And then over here, mas mahaba naman yung kapag vertical. So, like this. Ayan. Yeah. So, as you can see, if we want to compare yung mas malaki or yung A nasa sa horizontal, yung A nasa may left side or yung nasa baba ng X. Tapos sa vertical, yung A nasa ilalim ng may Y. So, I don't know. If you want to use that, you can, in order to remember, no, so if ever which ellipse you encounter, whether the horizontal or the vertical one. And there we go. That's it.